Protests over privatization of the electricity company of Ghana seem unending, with workers losing confidence in government. Those were some of the comments, especially on May Day, but this also follows assurance by government that the company will not be privatized.
ECG is and will remain a wholly owned state enterprise.
Today, strands of red cloths have become a common sight at the various offices of the Electricity Company of Ghana in protest of any attempt to privatize the state-owned entity. But at this year's May Day celebration, the president assured ECG will not be privatized. So what happened to this assurance? Why are workers still protesting after all these assurances? Do they know something that we do not know? We'll be speaking with Workers' Union and also seek answers from government plus an independent view on the matter. This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Brian. Banners with the inscription "Meda, stop ECG privatization now, leave ECG alone" were some of the messages Joy News got on arrival on ECG premises. We can listen to Eko Sam, my colleague who visited the Accra West region of the ECG.
The issue about the privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana seems unending. The workers, before May Day celebrations, started putting up posters at their offices. One of them is what we see at the Accra West Regional Office of the Electricity Company of Ghana, which says that MEDA, stop ECG privatization now, leave ECG alone. Essentially, it's a sort of warning to the Millennium Development Authority not to meddle in the affairs of the ECG. And I'm sure you also remember that during the May Day celebrations in WA, there was somewhat a bigger demonstration, even when the president was around. The president also spoke. He said that ECG would not be privatized. All they needed to do was to work on the customer service bit so that it gives Ghanaians a better service. That statement also did not go down well with the Public Utility Workers Union, who also said that, yes, President Mahama has spoken, but his posture depicts something else. It appears the workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana are not reneging on their efforts to drum home the point that ECG should not be privatized. And so these banners are at every ECG office across the country. This is what you are seeing here at the Accra West Regional Office of the ECG. I also know there are some at Tema and some other offices. I also know that there's a meeting currently going on between the leadership here at the Accra West region and the union workers also at the Accra West region.
But that was heated on May Day, and that was what generated a response from the president. We can now listen to some of the workers and have highlights of that protest.
Meeting what is the Metinity Mobacan obey. No one contract to Hono. One of the mansion one said, one didn't call management. Yes, good. What catch on there when you stakeholders in Asia. But I am not for doing nation. Yabon, who's a bigger forum. Next will be a trainer. Then you work as an one on one. And I am here. Yes, yes. The catch on the says or based on that, you know, I'm my apprehensive. In fact, Yabon, yes, Yabon. And I'm there. The corner when I'm what I'm doing. What for road show? While Lisa Hotel, by the penny being assigned to call. Bidders, when I want to talk on a company and putting Obogo. Nasaran Tona. Nasa Kofu Obogo there. We're interested. Kofu bisa questions now, my middle phone to me. And see, answer your questions. Workers now, your questions, bisa. As I obey, I won't travel. Why now? We can afford to manage. We are capable of managing our companies. My president, one term. Yes, or yeah, state property still. Management in water company, LVR Beno, or a management contract, and then what I'm profit. No, what's the concession? And see, they are going to maintain and operate. Now, 5 years back, but to walk now. This young person to me enjoy light bill. Can I for being shine eye? This young person to me enjoy light bill. There's a foreigner back on the bed. privatizing it. Massa. That is so privatize one privatize you. Zoro could be piano. Come humiliate as well as one fancy. Yan sing me biasi. Say, I know to worry in Kitaon. Let's see a piece of some cranny again. None to my answer. Near your future. I ask me, Baba. Ghana for Sumpo. So one my pen, Ghana for Yamakwan, at this man, Yamakwan, what can I do today? State property, what on them? And that's a one tonumpa. What them what is our I want what is it? What is that? And today I don't know. Profit so our head. Okay, so what's the man? Go from Washamahena. Ghana local content on what's more. Let's go on Ghana. Why did you almost why always I'm first to come? I say I can't be on the day. ECG. Yeah, to me, yeah, to my profit about the son and the profits. I buy new institutions, new schools. How much have you know?
In essence, the workers are simply not happy about the privatization, and they are saying that government is playing dilly-dally with them, trying to change some words and trying to make it look like they're not privatizing, but they feel that there is still some privatization somewhere, and they feel that if government plays its part by paying what government institutions are using, and so ECG can make money to pay and operate its system well, they don't need any private person to come, and they're so scared that some of them may lose their jobs if these private companies come in. Let's listen to President Mahama, who assured these workers on May Day that there is nothing like privatization of ECG.
ECG is and will remain a wholly owned state enterprise. Has no intention of privatizing ECG. Government's agreement under the Millennium Challenge Compact is to leverage private sector participation at the client's level to assist in resolving clients' complaints and revenue collection. There will be no worker retrenchments occurring as a result of this reform.
That was President Mahama. And so where is the conflict coming from? Where is the confusion coming from? We'll be trying to speak with Michael Nyantechi, who will be joining us in the studio. And we'll also be speaking with the Deputy Minister for Power, John Jinapo. He will explain to us what government has been doing all this while. But on the phone right now is Ishmael Aka. He is head of policy unit at the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Good evening to you, Ishmael. Thanks for your time on today's big story. Hello, Ishmael. You're on today's big story. Right. I think the lines have failed us. We'll be trying to put Ishmael Aka back. But in this conversation, we're still expecting Michael Nyantechi, who will be joining us in the studio to tell us what really their beef is. And then we'll get some responses from John Jinapo, who is Deputy Minister for Power, on this issue. We'll take a break on today's big story and we'll bring you more. This is today's big story. ECG workers are not happy that the company is going to be privatized, but that is on the back of assurance from government that the company will not be privatized. Whether it will be privatized or not, we'll be hearing from the Deputy Minister for Power, who will be explaining to us where they've reached with arrangements and whether indeed there is any privatization. On the phone line now is Ishmael Aka. He's head of policy unit at the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Good evening to you, Ishmael. Thanks for your time.
Good evening, Asha.
Ishmael, the debate on whether privatization or no privatization, I know you do a lot of research in that area. What's the reality on the ground?
Thank you very much. But let me just take a little background, give a little background before I even talk about whether we are privatizing or giving it out as a concession. I mean, when you look at the act that established Electricity Corporation of Ghana in 1967. We established ECG then as a corporation, which was supposed to break even, provide social services. Now, in 1994, we decided to reform to make it a company, since that we wanted ECG to make profit, bring in some private investment so that we can get money to pay for generators and all that. Unfortunately, the government still decided not to pay for electricity bills. It's more like the electricity consumed. So from 1967 till now, no government pays for the bills or no government pays for electricity consumed. So we have a legacy debt. That is one. The second thing is that in 1994, as we are doing our reform, Argentina was also reforming its own distributional system.
Right.
Now in 2015, Argentina recorded distributional losses of 3.3%. ECG of Ghana recorded a distributional loss of 32%.
Wow.
Now, 1% distributional loss costs Ghana $8.5 million annually.
Right.
So we can just multiply by 32. So what it means is that one, we need efficiency. Two, we need lesser government interference. Three, we need to pay our debt so that we can attract people to come and invest in the generation. When they generate, ECG will be in a position, financial position to pay. The government pays four choices. The first one was that the government will pay a debt, the debt it owes ECG, and probably list ECG on the Ghana Stock Exchange. What it means is that the government was going to share ownership of ECG with some individuals. Or the government can privatize, sell ECG out. What it means is that the government will be selling the management, the assets, and everything of ECG to a private investor. Or the government outsource management of ECG to a company that will come and invest in ECG, at least because for the next 10 years, we need about $4 billion in ECG. Government cannot provide all those money. You should remember that 5 years of oil production gave us $3.2 billion. So 10 billion, what we need is that we need about 7 years of oil production without investing in any other thing. So government decided to outsource the management of ECG to a private company. Come in, invest $200 million annually so that at a point in time, I take it. What I advise is that we should have some agreement. So maybe every 3 years we do an evaluation to see whether they are meeting our target. Look at how we protect the Ghanaian workers there so that they are not sacked. And the third one is that about 18 Ghanaian companies have applied for this concession. So they form a consortium and win it for Ghana so that whatever money will be in Ghana, they can invest and everything will be fine. So I think there's nothing wrong with what the government is doing. What we want is a efficient distribution system that will attract private investment and also so that this disaster will not come again.
That could be one of the things that the workers are sensing, that it could not be, there may not be any equality in the distribution, and that and for that matter, the companies that are coming to privatize may have more than government, and that could affect workers. Is there a possibility?
Yeah, the workers are claiming that the president gave a promise that they have some form of more like for the first 5 years, workers, the company may not be able to sack any worker, but after 5 years, so there's some form of an agreement that after 5 years the companies can sack, and that threatens their job security. That's the first one. The second one is the fact that they also fear, because it is private, will come and be increasing prices. The cost of electricity will go up already. All of us are crying that it is so expensive. But I don't agree with them on the pricing for two reasons. First, PURC will still be the regulator. So until we say that we don't trust in PURC regulating the distribution system, then we say when they come, because they cannot set prices. PURC will have to approve. Then secondly, what we pay now includes the inefficiency. So if a private investment is coming and if they're able to reduce even inefficiency, what I suspect is that prices may rather fall.
So privatization of ECG, is that the only key solution to our problems?
ECG is not being privatized. It is given for, as I indicated, I gave 4 options. The first one is that Rwanda is having an option where they have a management agreement. So the president signs a management agreement with distributional companies, even state-owned companies. Meet these distributional laws, make this profit. If you don't meet it, the president can sack you. That's the first one, management reform. The second is that we can list ECG on Ghana Stock Exchange. The third is that we can sell ECG. That is what we call privatization. And the fourth is concession agreement, where the government retains ownership of ECG, but we give the management to a company. In 2004, we did something like that with Aquavita. So a company will come and manage. The government decided not to share ownership. When you list on the Ghana Stock Exchange, you are sharing ownership with other people. When you decide to sell, you are selling ECG, management, assets, everything from Ghana. Management reform, I think it has been tried in the past. So we believe that the government decided to go for concession this time. But I still believe that concession is not just the solution. It is just a step towards the solution. If you get even a company, whether Ghanaian or foreign company, and government still doesn't pay its bills, government still interferes in ECG. URC is not doing what it's supposed to do. We will not get the efficient ECG we are looking for.
So now there seems to be some, I think, lack of confidence with the workers because they feel they are not secured, and so what can government do? Because you talked about 5 years to protect the workers so that any private company that comes in is not able to sack workers until about 5 years. So after the 5 years, what happens? So now workers know that they only have up to 5 years to work?
Yeah, I mean, after the 5 years, I mean, workers will still work, but a private company may want to cut down costs in order to make profit. And in cutting down costs, maybe sacking workers or cutting down some of the labor and all that may be one of the factors they may consider. That is a very difficult thing, but I think that the workers should sit with government, as at now, the power ministry, to make sure that their concerns are more like inputted into the terms of reference. Their concerns are considered as part of the negotiation with any company we may give ECG to. So it shouldn't be that you're going on demonstration, you are not working and all that. They should get their concerns, sit down with the power ministry, that if it is about job security, if it is about pricing, if it's about any other thing, it can be included in the negotiation so that they are protected over the concession period. I think that may be a better way forward.
Well, many thanks to Ishmael Aka, is the head of policy unit at the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Now, joining me in the studio is Michael Nyantichi. He speaks for the workers. Good evening to you, Michael. Thanks for your time on today's big story.
Good evening.
You've had assurances from government. Why are you still protesting?
You see, this whole issue, we don't want it to be reduced to the question of just staff security. Our issue about this whole concession goes beyond job security for our workers. We think that there are so many challenges with the options that government has chosen. And that is where we want Ghanaians to understand that giving other alternatives, if government explore those ones, it will inure to the benefit of Ghana more than the concession option.
Okay, I'll keep you on hold and I'll speak with Deputy Minister for Power, John Jenapo, who joins us on the line. Good evening to you, John. Thanks for your time on today's big story.
Good evening. First of all, which station am I talking to?
This is Joy News on Multi TV.
Wow. Anyway, I respect you, so I'll talk to you. Other than that, I just got a call that I should hold on.
Well, many thanks for talking to us. The issue is that the workers are not happy with the choice that government has taken. They said that there are other options that government could go for. Can you bring us up to speed as to where the government has got into with this whole discussion?
Thank you. You do recall that we entered in Compact 2, which is supposed to make available about $500 million from the United States government. And we specifically decided to invest that in the power sector. as part of the reforms, we thought that we should restructure ECG and put it on a very sound footing. It is true, we had so many options. One option was to sell ECG outright, privatize it, sell some stake. Eventually, based on the consultation we had, we thought that concession would be a better option. It went through cabinet, it went through parliament, both sides looked at it, and cabinet thought that the concession was a better option. And so yes, you might have several options, but you look at which option serves you better, which option brings about efficiency, which option serves the nation better. And we are of the opinion that the concession is a better option. And we are currently working to ensure that we shepherd that option and put in place the clauses and the measures that will make it workable.
Honorable, have you hold for a second? The minister has explained that concession was the better option presented to them. You think there is any other better option than the concession they went for?
Yeah, we think the concession had a number of drawbacks which will not inure to the benefit of Ghana as compared to other alternatives. For instance, let me just use this as an illustration. If you had gone for maybe a partial privatization whereby government offloads parts of the shares of ECG onto the Ghana Stock Exchange to raise the needed capital to invest in ECG networks and then put in place a management arrangement with maybe a manager or an MD with key performance defined criteria indicators for a specified period devoid of any governmental interference, ECG can easily be turned around, and any benefit or profits that will accrue from that reforms will all be to the Ghana government. But here you are looking at an alternative where a private man comes in, and from all indication, if you look at the indicators that have been put down, the private investor, definitely the majority lead partner, is going to be a foreign investor who at the end of the day, whatever returns that are made are likely going to be expatriated with its effects on our local currency and the other attendant problems that goes with it. But if there are an option that will inure better to the interests of Ghana, we think that is one. And currently, under the same ministry, a World Bank project has started with a pilot of a reform in the Ashanti region. This project just commenced last December. And why won't we look at this pilot project, give it time, let's see how it comes out within 2-3 years. And the same objectives are basically what this MCC compact is seeking to accomplish. So all we are saying is that if we have started this pilot, why won't we hold the concession, allow the pilot to run for 2-3 years, do appraisal? If it's not getting us there, after all, the MCC compact is for 5 years. If after 3 years we are not getting what we want to accomplish and we are bringing in a private investor, it makes very good and logical sense. But you want to truncate a project which I've just started and then bring in a new one, which from all studies that we have seen all over the world has always resulted in a fiasco.
Okay, let me speak with Mr. Jinapo. They seem to have a genuine concern. How much consultation went into this concession that government has gone in for?
Extensive consultation, very, very wide, extensive consultation. We consulted experts, ECG, and if you recall, we even traveled to India, where they have a similar one, and the system is better than it was. So I don't know which country he claims that they conducted that and the situation is where.
But did you foresee some of the issues he's raising, that one, it may not benefit us more than the private companies that are coming in?
I'm coming. Whatever option you choose, it has its pros and cons. It says that you should list the stock exchange. Any economist or financial person will tell you that in the state that ECG finds itself, with the debt levels that ECG finds itself, it's practically impossible to list on the stock. Two, if you list on the stock, it's the same private people who will come and buy. It's the same private people. So what is the difference? But I need not argue over all this. There are options. We have conducted extensive study. we believe that the option of concession is a better one.
So how far have
now,
we gone with this? How far have we gone with this?
We are at the stage of what you call the RFP, the request for proposal. Simply, we want companies who want to participate in this concession to bring their proposals. We've even passed the stage of the RFQ, which is the request for qualification. We are just finishing with that. So where we are is very critical, and I would wish that the concerns that they have, they bring that to the table so that we can factor that in. If it's about employee security, how can we factor that in? If it's about return, how can we factor that in? If it's about profit making, how can we factor that in? So that we have a solid RFP document to ensure that whichever company, be it Ghanaian, be it whatever, that is coming, meet our overall interest, meet the interest of the workers, and meet the nation's interest, and more especially, the customers of ECG. How can we ensure customer satisfaction? If you do a survey today, I don't know how the customers of ECG will tell you, but clearly there's more room for improvement. And so our doors are open. If they have any suggestions, if they have any concerns, let them come. Let's sit at the table and discuss it. Governance is about decision making. We believe that the decision we took is in the best interest of this nation.
Well, many thanks to you, John Jinapo, is Deputy Minister for Power. Michael, you heard what the minister said. He said their doors are open. So briefly, our time is up, but briefly, tell me what exactly you want government to do, because he's saying that the deal is at its critical stage and much may not be done about it.
You see, this deal, even as the minister is saying is at its critical stage, it's even one of the areas we also even have a problem with it. We are being kind of precipitated or forced into this within a certain timeline. And the rate even MIDA itself is running this deal and the processes he is enumerating, from even the cabinet decision that we have cited, even MIDA is not going in accord with what the cabinet has recommended. And we think that we should take our time. When we went to India, fortunately, I was part of the delegation with him. The India, which have done a similar thing, advised that we should take our time and do this process and get it right. We should not be thinking of doing it quick, but doing it right.
Well, many thanks to you, Michael Nyanteche. I believe that you may want to take the advice of the minister. He says their doors are open. You may agree on some or reach a compromise on this. This is today's big story. That's all time will allow us. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Good evening.